Good evening, everybody. Oh, Dave and Alicia and Bonnie, hello. We gotta get sorry. I gotta get back to the top of the chat here. Woo, you got a notification for the first time? Oh my goodness, Alicia. I've been sending them. The last week I didn't get one out, but I'm glad that you did this time. Wow, you're on day 8. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you're doing better. It's just getting over it and feeling better. Yeah. Dave, did I know that you guys had it in October? I don't remember that. Um, it's been over I had 2 years ago, November is when I had it. So got it the first year. Um, oh no, off to the tire shop tomorrow. 4 new tires. Oh my goodness. Well, in this weather, you need those tires. That's for sure. Oh my goodness. The I don't know, winter's hitting again with a vengeance this week here. If I want to get through my chat before I get into that. So, um, yeah, Vonnie, you finally caught alive. It's so great. Oh, it's so wonderful. Um, yeah, let me see. Taking care of the kiddos. Oh, Alicia, yeah, I was down for about 3 weeks. Yeah, I was pretty tired, getting 6 inches. Yeah, Thursday. Well, between now, we already got about 3 inches last night, and now the winds have picked up. We got, I don't know, 30, 40-mile-an-hour winds or something. So it is lightly snowing, so it's just blowing all over like crazy, knocking into the house, all that kind of stuff. And we're supposed to get, by the time it's done on Thursday, because it's supposed to start tomorrow afternoon again. In fact, I think we might get some more overnight, but tomorrow afternoon through Thursday noon, we're supposed to get 12 to 18 inches, which we haven't had that kind of snow for a while. So that's going to be pretty big, pretty big. Oh, there you are, Carrie. Sorry, I missed you. So, good evening to you. Such a term, brownie mean? The pH in your water is off. It turns areas of your carpet brown. Oh no. Boy, I didn't even know that. I don't even know what the pH is in my water because I have a well, but I have really high iron. So I suppose I could get it checked, but I've got a softener that helps to filter out the iron as well as softening it and everything. But I've got really high iron here. So you got about 3 inches too, Vonnie? Okay. They're saying your area could get up to 12. Yeah, I think my area, west central Minnesota, central and southern Minnesota, are in the 12 to 18 inches range. So you guys, snow, freezing rain, then rain today, heavy rain here. Tuesday, oh my goodness, Valentine's Day, heavy, heavy rains. Oh my goodness, we had so much rain. The front of my house, go out the front door, and it's just an ice rink out there. So I have to step off the step onto ice, which I have to be very careful with. And no, I have to run out in the morning, tomorrow morning, but then I should be able to be home the rest of the week. So, is it hot there, Kiri? Oh my goodness. Hi, Donna. How are you? Oh, you got bad iron too. Okay. I didn't even know that with the Northeast. Because we've got, in northern Minnesota here, we've got all the iron mines and everything. So from the glaciers. And so, yeah, there are areas and pockets of Minnesota that have really bad iron. And I just happen to be over one of them. So, hello, Patty, Tinker's wife. How are you? It's white and gray, so it looks like coffee. Oh, Bonnie, I'm so sorry to hear that. Hi, Lynn. How are you? Over 20 inches in the cities? Oh my goodness. Monty, you may end up getting more than what you think. Hey, Matt and Sarah. Well, hello, all the kiddos cleaning up from supper. Come on. Gotta make a quick dinner, need food. You're in that hangry stage, right? Oh, um, yeah, a friend stopped over real quick about an hour or so ago to help me with something, and he said every time he checks the weather report, it's like worse and worse. And I'm like, oh no. So I haven't read it for a couple hours, but yeah, we could end up getting a lot. Um, yeah, it's really, yeah, up north it is really high iron. Oh, good, Alicia. I'm so glad that you're able to eat. That's good. Came close to putting on shorts today. Oh, yeah. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Curious. Like, there's a point in always in May and then in September where the weather shifts so quickly from cold to hot and everything that it's like one day in May I'll be running the furnace and then the next day it's like 95 degrees. It's like put the air conditioning in, so it's and the same in the fall, running the AC, and all of a sudden we get a cold front come through. It's like, oh man, turn the furnace on, so it gets crazy. um it's not from my brother. I actually got it. Yes, it is my chosen hoodie. So thank you. Thank you. I wasn't sure how this light teal was going to look on me because I love teal, but I'm more of a darker teal person. Well, this almost looks the same, but a little darker teal. Um, but yeah, they're so soft, so soft. Oh my goodness! And this one is front zip. So yeah, it's just crazy, crazy weather. So I'm looking out at my garden right now. It's getting reburied. There were a couple beds that were starting to peek through my strawberry bed. I could see the leaves again and different things like that. And so I was like, oh, but yeah, that rain last week. Oh my goodness, it just hit everything so bad. Thanks, Alicia. Thank you. Um, Yeah, it is. And Matt and Sarah, I hope that you don't have to get out. It sounds like the kids might have a couple more snow days, though. I'm hoping you don't have to get out. I've seen videos of you driving out in that weather when they say, no travel advised, stay off the roads. What are you doing? Matt is videoing driving in a blizzard. I'm like, okay. I'm going to have to pull a mom rank on you at some point. Oh, you guys are crazy. Oh, but anyway, for snow days, then no driving. Yes, no driving. Absolutely. Posted a video link of a fire in your old neighborhood caused by a squatter. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. Yeah, Patty, I am so glad that you're out of there, truly. But man, I don't know, that fentanyl, that's some bad stuff, bad news stuff. So it's getting colder midweek that you know of. Yeah, I just what was it, yesterday already we were getting a winter storm watch for like Tuesday, and so I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of a serious thing going on here. So let me see what they're saying. Yeah, we got 30-mile-an-hour winds. We're come on, phone. Gusts near 50. Initial snow band Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning, and then a little break, and then Wednesday afternoon into Thursday noon. I don't know. they're saying still saying 12 to 18 total accumulation. So it's like we got 3 last night. There'll be 4 to 7 tomorrow. There'll be another batch, So anyway, um, oh, that's true. That's right. It was like, yeah, the deadline. Hmm. I know. It's like now we have to plan our bills around our weather, right? It's like, when are we going to run here and take care of this or pay that? Check the weather report. Yeah, be careful out there, Vonnie. We don't need you falling, that's for sure. Uh, well, watch a news report instead of this. Okay. So yes, windy right now. Major winter storm this week. So, one hands up for everybody who's got all your seeds that you need for this year, because we're going to talk seeds tonight and a whole different aspect of them. So, I am actually going to put my where is it? Oh, I can't find these things. Where we go? Okay. Is it getting on there? I don't know why. It's not letting me put an emoji in. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's as I put in a note in my show notes and everything. I had tried soaking seeds a couple times when I first got here and was first gardening here, anyway, and more as an experiment, I think, and just trying to see how that worked. Um, I just heard about, oh, soak your seeds, that'll be good. And so I didn't know like all of the specifics with it, because there are certain steps you need to take. So I think I soaked them, and what did I try? Probably beans and peas. Um, but I don't know that I did it right. So I tried it a couple times, and it was just, for me, it was like more trouble than it was worth, because by the time they were done soaking, my window of opportunity was kind of closing for planting and different things like that. So it's definitely something to plan and to get a good schedule going for that, or something like that. But you got a goose egg under the cabin. Bummer. But yeah, so I thought, you know what? The last, 3 summers, 2 summers for sure, have been so hot. When it first planted, it's been hot and dry. I think 3 summers almost now. And I've lost so many plants to the dryness and the heat and everything. They just won't germinate. You put the seed in and it takes, sorry, weather alert. I put the seeds in, and water and water and water, and it's so hot and so dry. And I mean, not last summer, but the summer before, we were in the hundreds at the end of May and into June. And it wasn't just like a day or two and then it went back down. It was staying there. And so everything was shriveling up. I couldn't keep it dry enough, keep them wet enough. I couldn't keep them alive. So I'm like, okay, is this kind of a pattern that we're getting into? And so I just thought, even if we end up getting a normal dry, rain-filled spring or something like that, I think it would still be good for me to be pre-soaking my seeds, and before planting, or soaking before planting, pre-planting, pre-plant. They call it pre-soaking and soaking. I don't know what the difference is there. But yes, Dave, it says it seems worthwhile. Have I ever sprinkled vermiculite over my seeds to hold moisture? Yeah, I put actually a lot of that into my beds last year. I amended them greatly to help retain moisture. And um, I mean, it helped a bit, but there was still a lot of things that just didn't come up. So I want to make sure that they have the greatest start that they possibly can. Um, that's a great tip there too, Dave. That whatever soil you have, if you're direct sowing your seeds, um, let's say beans, peas, different things like that, and it's dry and whatever. So yeah, putting some extra things to hold moisture in it. When you make a little furrow for carrot seed, you will top the soil with vermiculite, not cover. Oh, okay. And this is why I want this conversation here tonight with you guys. I want everybody to, just like um, put in what you know, what you've done, everything else. Also, Patty, I've come across in my research for this, I came across diverse um, instructions for all of this and really opposite type of things. And so want to find out what you guys know, what you've tried, different things like that. So let's kind of get down to, I've got like 8 pages of notes here. You've never had luck planting after soaking. Okay. Well, the carrot is really hard for me. It dries out if they're making, okay. Okay. That is a great thing. Yeah. Cause carrot seeds, you only need like a quarter of an inch at the most, and just sprinkle a little soil over them. But they take a long time to germinate. They can take up to 3 weeks to germinate. So they can easily dry out. I mean, if you have to be out there every 2 hours hosing things down, that's really tough. But that is a great, great tip there, Dave. In fact, I'm going to write that one down. Thank you, Patty. Oh, I'm so glad. Yes, carrots are really hard. They dry out. So vermiculite over carrot seeds. Because that's another thing that I've had a hard time getting full germination with are the carrots, so too. Jeffrey, hello to you. My goodness, you're up late again tonight. I appreciate you coming. That's very sweet. Hello, Brenda. You're in 75 degrees Tuesday. Oh my goodness, North Central Alabama. I know some people in Alabama too. We planted from seed, taken fresh from tomatoes we bought. They all came to fruit. That is so great, Alicia. Yeah, because sometimes, store-bought and fruit, you have to be careful because they might be so GMO or whatever that their seeds are sterile, and so you can't plant anything from them. But that is fantastic. That is great that you were able to. It means that you had a pretty good tomato then. You only ever soaked bean and pea seeds and only overnight. Big issue is the need for inoculant for better production to stay off of blight some can get. Okay. I will try not to bounce around. I've got a lot of information here, but anyway, the 2 feet. Oh, I know they're still saying 12 to 18 inches here, Donna, but 2 feet. Oh my goodness. We could get that. Things are just all up in the air. So anyway, soaking seeds. Should you soak them at all before putting them in the ground? Most times gardening experts say it's a matter of preference if you want to do that. And really the idea behind it is to speed up the germination rate. When seeds are in nature, they're designed to be tough because the elements can be rough on a small seed. So because if you've seen like a bean seed is very hard, a pea seed is just, the shell is so hard. It's like, how does that get a little tender sprout coming out of that, a little root that comes out of this hard shell? Well, it needs to when it's in the ground, we need to keep it well watered. It needs to kind of break down. It needs to soften so that it can germinate. There's a seed within there. Let me see where my chart is here. Okay. Um, so there's seeds are made up of baby plant parts that are surrounded by a seed coat. So a seed coat is the really hard thing that's in there. Hey, busy little house. Hello to you. Um, I am doing well. Thank you. So the insides of the seed are made up of two different kinds of seeds. One would be a monocot and then dicot, which means that the monocot would have like one seed leaf that would start up and that would sprout and develop. Those would be like wheat, rice, maize, all corn, all that kind of stuff. Dicot means that as it develops into a taproot system containing a primary root, it develops two leaves. So you have a monocot, which means one leaf, and a dicot, which is two leaves. And that develops in the germination. So you'll hear us talk about the true leaves that come up. So as soon as it germinates, it'll come up with a leaf, and then it'll come up with a second set of leaves, which we call our true leaves, right? So the first leaf will indicate whether it's a monocot or dicot, really. So a dicot would be things like peas, lentils, tomatoes, that kind of thing. So anyway, little information there. So the monocot and the dicot seeds are different in they're inside with a seed coat, and the coat exists to protect the baby plant until it's the right time to sprout. They contain all the parts that will sprout and become the plant's first leaves and stem, as well as food for the initial growth. Did you know that the seed itself, the coat, becomes the food for the plant? So it's not just the nutrients that you have in the soil, or it's not just the other thing. And that's why it's so important to get really good seeds. You don't want poor seeds. You don't want sterile seeds. Obviously, you want really good, healthy seed. You don't want to take seed from plants that have had blight the year before. You don't want to take if you've had a tomato that was rotten, you go, oh, I'll just use that one for seed. It's like, no, because it's got all the nutrients in there. You want to make sure that it has had the best start that it possibly can. So the seed coat is also the seed's natural defense against the harsh forces found in nature, and it prevents the seed from sprouting when conditions are not at their finest. So, oh, thank you guys. You're sweet. I learn so much too when I prepare all this stuff for you guys, and it's just fun to share. So anyway, that seed coat it plays a very important part. So when you get a pack of seeds, and I think of like bean seeds specifically, that often in the pack, there will be some that will be broken. They'll be, split in half, or there'll be a partial one, and you go, oh, I'll plant that anyway, see if it does anything. It's not going to grow anything because the seed coat has broken. It's not going to be there to protect the little plant that's inside. So anyway, so it prevents everything from growing when everything is not okay out there. So if it's too dry, or it's too hot, or if it's whatever, that plant knows when the conditions are right for it. Like you plant bean seeds, if it's too cool, even though it's not a frost, if it's like 50 degrees or something and wet, it's too cool for a bean seed. Bean seeds love it when it's in the 70s and stuff like that. They want warmth. And so they'll sit in the ground and they will not sprout. I've planted a couple years too early with beans and put 100 bean seeds in, and nothing comes up because I planted when it was nice and then it turned cool within a day or two, which I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was like, ugh. And so I had to, wait 2 or 3 weeks till it warmed up enough. I planted them in there, and within 3 days, they're popping up all over the place. Um, so I've killed off whole entire plantings of beans by going too soon. And so it's just amazing how exactly busy little house. It's like every little bean has its own intelligence in it, basically not like a mind intelligence, but it just, God put so much into that to say, this is when you sprout, this is when you grow, and everything else. And so anyway, yeah, it's pretty so cool. So that is the kind of the natural way to do things. So now, why would you want to soak the beans or the seeds to change that? Well, there are some times that like I was explaining about my situation where it's hot and it's dry and everything. And so I'm like, how would it be beneficial to like my beans and some of these other seeds to soak them and to give them more moisture? Because really soaking speeds up the germination, because it's all of a sudden telling it, ooh, okay, we got moisture. It's like we can grow and everything. And so it starts breaking down that hard shell, and that's called scarification. Oh my goodness, big word. You've heard of stratification, maybe? That's a whole different thing, and I'll explain that briefly towards the end. But scarification and what that is doing, or scarification, I don't know. Anyway, you are breaking down the seed coat on that to help it along to make it germinate faster. Some of the the examples of when that would be beneficial is like if you have a commercial greenhouse, you're growing all year round, and you're trying to grow through the winter too. Kind of like cracking the seed. Yes. Yes. And there are different ways that you can do that. I actually, in the show notes below, I put a link to Wikipedia for the different kinds of scarification. I don't know, I was using scarification. It just seems better. It's like you're scaring the seed into growing. But scarification is probably better because it's just like scarring the seed coat and everything. But it's a weakening or opening or otherwise altering the coat of the seed to encourage germination. It can be done mechanically, like just like pounding the seed or something a little bit, or scraping it, different things like that. Just somehow almost damaging that seed coat. It can be done thermally, which means with heat and different things. There are different kinds of thermals with that, and then chemically. And I'm sure that gets done a lot with all the big growers that grow GMOs and highly chemicalized food and different things like that. That they will do a lot of the chemical scarification. So they continue to say the seeds of many plant species are often impervious to water and gases, thus preventing or delaying germination. So any process designed to make the seed coat more permeable to water and gases is known as scarification. So let me see here, just reading. So the thermal things can be hot water, or fire would be the other one. Because like in a forest, when the fire goes through, all of a sudden afterwards there's all kinds of little plants popping up, ones that needed the heat of a fire or the actual flame itself to do the scarification on that and to get the the um, the germination going on that. So anyway, um, let me see. Hey, Big Dreams, how are you? That's the word of the day, scarification. Yes. Um, some plants require fire before. Yeah, trees usually. Sorry, I wasn't reading this. I was still on my Wikipedia page. That's another way too. Busy little house is take fine sandpaper and kind of scrape them too. That will also work. When do you start tomato seeds inside? Last year was your first try, so you forgot. You need 6 to 8 weeks usually, right? About 6 to 8 weeks before you are ready to plant them in the ground. So I don't plant until Memorial Weekend. Um, I don't know what your planting date typically is or not to go outside, but your mom always soaked her okra seeds overnight. She never had problems with germination. Always had lots of okra. Nice. March, yeah, start them in March. So one year I started them beginning of March, I think. And by the time I plant had was able to plant them in the ground the end of May, beginning of June, whatever, they were at least 3 feet tall. It was like a little too tall to be, you know, getting them. They were just getting huge. I mean, they were. I don't recommend going that long. I don't know. They were 12 or 15 weeks or something. Um, it wondered why you would quickly see new trees growing. Yep. You're welcome. Okay, so where was I? So I was talking about the thermal and the heat and the different things. Okay, so the other way to have heat to help germinate the other seeds is to put them in hot water. Now, Patty, this is where I want your input here too, especially is that I've read that you pour boiling water over them, over the seeds, have the seeds in boiling water, and then only use water that is like just barely warmer than your body temperature. I mean, that's a huge difference. I would be concerned that boiling water would kill the little plant parts inside the seed, but I don't know. I mean, there were several places, and these were like agriculture um, universities and stuff like that. So it wasn't like anybody that was just like, oh, Joe Blow, that was had his own channel up to or his own website. These were highly qualified egg places. So I was just wondering, um, heating pads work great for when you're starting a tray of seeds, and putting them in there, putting them under the tray because that helps too. But keep them warm. The warm blanket, yes. Um, so, but what? So to soak them. So let's just say hot water. You can use, some say hot tap water, some say don't use tap water, use filtered water, some say use boiling water, all that kind of stuff. Now, the advantage of the boiling water would be that you are also killing off any type of fungus or blight things that may have come with those seeds that would be on the surface of them. So when you put them in there, it's going to get rid of all of those things, which I would think would be a good thing. And so and so that would be fine. I think when I've soaked seeds before, I think I probably just put them in room temperature water. But anyway, you need to soak them 12 to 24 hours. So plan when you're going to be planting, because when you take them out, you want to keep them moist, get them right in the ground, keep the ground moist. Okay. And so no longer than 48 hours, because then everything starts breaking down too much and you have a mush type of thing, and it'll drown your seeds basically. So, so 12 to 24 hours. And I think that will depend on how hard that seed coat is. Like peas could easily take, and beans could easily take the almost 48 hours. But other seeds like squash seeds, pumpkin seeds, they're not as hard in there, um, and everything. So, but anyway, some of the seeds that work out really, really good for soaking are peas, beans, pumpkins, winter squash, chard, beets. Beet seeds are very hard in there. Sunflowers, a lupine, fava beans, cucumbers. Um, Other medium to large vegetable and flower seeds that have thick coats, those will all benefit. You have little seeds like carrot seeds, tomato seeds, lettuce seeds, basil, any of those that are small, don't pre-soak those because they'll be, first of all, very, very hard to handle when they're wet, and they'll just clump in there. So you don't want to do that when they're wet. Um, and so anyway, stay away from the little small seeds, but the bigger ones that have a harder coat on them. When soaking bean and pea seeds, you will see them swell. Okay, that is when you know the water has gotten into the seed and dormancy is broken. Thank you. Perfectly put. I have like 2 pages that would explain the same thing. Like, just simple. Very good. Thank you, Patty. Um, Comparing burying deep, just treating normal, almost no difference. Thank you, Dave. One of the videos that I referenced below is Gardner Scott. So I have Luke at Am I Gardener and then Gardner Scott, both on soaking seeds, stratification, scarification, all that kind of stuff. So those links are down there. Hey, Kathy, how are you? Cowpeas, okay. Yep, any of the beans, those work out really, really well. It gives you a better head start. The other thing with that is that it's going to retain, because all the moisture. Remember, I said that that the seed coat provides the food for that new little plant as it's starting up and it's starting to grow. Well, if you pre-soak it, it's also providing the moisture in there. And so that little plant is going to feed off of the food that's in there and feed off the moisture that is in the seed that you have pre-soaked. And that's going to help it, like, especially if I put it out in my dry, sandy soil, it's hot, dry, and I can't keep it watered frequently enough. Even though I would water every day, I'd go out there and water, and within an hour, everything was dry again. So it was just really, really tough to keep it going when it was 100 degrees. So if you have these seeds that the plant can now draw off the moisture that's within them, that's going to give it a whole lot better start. So if you soak seeds and some are still hard and have not swollen, toss them. They're a dead seed. Good to know. Thank you, Patty. Um, Discussion of burying tomatoes deep. Okay, excellent. Hey, Patty G, how are you? Oh, you'll have to go back because we were talking about soaking seeds and everything. So, well, Mac, hello. Good to see you. And so, anyway, so let me see. The other thing is by soaking your seeds. So when you soak them, um, so you put them in hot water, whatever, and then in a dish, and then put them in a well-lit area, either on a windowsill or under lights or something like that, because you want to mimic the the sunlight. So you're mimicking like the rainy weather and then the light that the seeds need. So if they're like, "Oh, we need sunshine," it's like you're putting all of that together in there in the bowl. So when you have it in that light, it's so great. So well lit place. So you're doing it in a bowl on your counter instead of outside in the elements. If possible, expose your soaking seeds to some warmth as well. If you have, um, say if you have a fireplace or something, you put them on the mantle or whatever. You want to have some warmth in there, or um, you don't want to put them like right on your stove or right on your fire. If you have a wood stove or something like that, that would get a little too hot. That'd be like cooking them. But just someplace warm that you would have. Patty made SOS. Oh, I'm sure you love that, Mac. One of your favorite meals. Um, Thank you. Can use seed starting heat mats. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yes. So you could put your bowls of seeds that are soaking, put them on the heat mats. Excellent idea. Yes. Or if you don't have a heat mat, a heating pad. Um, Used to grow your plants under a 4-foot double lamp fluorescent light. Full spectrum worked great. So, like I've got my little mini greenhouse that I start my plants in, and when I close that up, it stays really warm. I put the lights on, stays at least at least 5 degrees warmer in there than it does out in the room, and I keep my house at 68. So, it can warm up pretty good in there, and um, the he's talking about Max food. So anyway, just make it warm enough for coziness, okay, and that it feels like it's outside in that warmth, and it's going to just enjoy it. It's like all of the elements are going to come together to say, all right, I'm ready to sprout, I'm ready to go. So you don't want it so warm that it's going to be too hot to touch, though. So anyway, that is a good way to do that. And then take them out and get them planted right away, and keep the soil, watered and everything outside. So definitely, hey, Prep Fraternity, how are you? Good evening. Um, oh, thanks, Dan. I know it's great for starting my seeds. It really is. Your greenhouse is getting delivered tomorrow. Oh, yay. Oh, it's wonderful, Kathy. Excellent. You need to find your heat mat, something you want to get better organized. Garage is a mess. One of the things that I got from that I had no idea my mom had, but when we were going through my parents' stuff this summer, she had a full spectrum grow light. I was like, oh, those things that run what, $50 or $60. It was like, it's a grow light. So I don't have just my shop lights anymore. I have at least one really good grow light, which I'm really excited about. But a heat mat would be really good too, especially for pepper plants, to get the peppers started and get the tomatoes started, different things like that. So okay, not all, again, I'm going to kind of go back to, I know, was so great to get a grow light. I'm going to kind of go back to this, what seeds should be soaked and what shouldn't. So there are some seeds, again, they're just too tiny to soak and they will just disintegrate. So you don't want to do those. And again, the others that were programmed to sprout after going through a fire, there are some seeds such as violas. So these are not just vegetable, but flower seeds too. Violas need moisture and darkness. So there you wouldn't want to put the bowl out in the light or anything like that. So every seed is different. I would do some research on that seed, figure out what you need, different things like that. You got your second box of grow lights. These are green. You got all of the innards, right? That is so great. Oh, I'm so glad for you. Let me see, where was I here? Okay, so before you get your seeds soaking, assess the size of your seed. Is it large enough to handle once it is soaked? Is it papery or hard? Do a little research and make sure that soaking seeds before planting what needs to happen with your seeds. So each plant has its own needs in terms of heat, light, and water. And I can't go through every single kind of seed and everything here tonight. So this is kind of a more generalization. But um, again, the small seeds can clump together in the water and be a nightmare to work with afterwards. So larger seeds that have the thick exteriors are ideal. Um, Other ones that are wrinkled seeds, like peas, do especially well after soaking. Again, like Patty said, they'll plump up and be ready to sow. So, which is kind of interesting that when they dry, they shrivel up. When they plump up, they're all ready to go again. There are some seeds that are like zinnias or bachelor's buttons that have a very paper-like seed coat. These seeds come from very dry regions where seeds will sprout at the first sign of rain. And that's one of the reasons they grow so well. You know, everybody's like, oh, put some zinnia seeds in, and pop, 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 there's some zinnias, you know, your spirit seeds. Um, so, and those all you can direct sow without any type of pre-soaking. But anyway, so you want to just make sure, like, anything that's papery, don't even bother with that, because it's just going to really it's just not going to work. Let me see. Too much soaking, they'll drown. Yes. The North Carolina State University recommends placing them in boiling water. So don't put them in a pot while it's still boiling, but like boil the water and then pour it over that. So I don't know. Again, I'd rather do hot from the tap, because that's at about I have mine set at about 140 degrees, my hot water heater. And so that's about what I know it could take. Boiling is what, 180 degrees? Or no, that's 212. 212 is 100 is boiling. That's pretty hot. But again, it might, you know, it's interesting. So the buoyancy of floating seeds must be compensated with gravity to submerge them. So they suggest an infuser, but if your seeds are all floating and they're not getting water around them really well, maybe put like a plate over them or something, or I suppose you could put them in a jar with a what do you call it? The fermenting weights or something like that. I don't know. It'd be better in a bowl with a plate over it and just kind of push them down in the water a little bit. So, okay, here's the hot water treatment for removal of pathogens. Placing seeds in 90 degrees Celsius. What is that? Does somebody want to let me know real quick what that is in Fahrenheit? So placing them into 90 degrees Celsius for 90 seconds, so a minute and a half, followed by a dip in cold water for 30 seconds, kills any human pathogens that are in there and salmonella. So a variety of plant pathogens are also being killed by the hot water treatment. So 194 Fahrenheit. Okay. Okay, thanks. Thanks, guys. So that would be, it's better than getting up to 212. But anyway, so we're not talking a long length of time here. So 90 seconds in the hot water and then dip them in cold water. So I imagine putting them in a bowl of hot water and then draining them out and then putting them in cold water right away. And that's going to kill all those other pathogens that might be on the seed. And which, if you're not sure where the seeds are coming from and you don't know the, like I said, you don't know the sources, you don't know what's happened. There's no, because I've gotten seeds before from other companies that are just like, they just don't germinate, different things like that. Peroxide to kill pathogens? No, they didn't. Tell me about that. So basically the same thing, you just soak it in peroxide, or do you add a little peroxide to the water, or do you put it in peroxide for like a minute or whatever, minute or two, and then put it in water? I was just wondering what that process would be, because that would be an interesting thing too. Um, and these are things that, like I said, if you're saving your own seed, but you don't know for sure if the plants that they came from were the healthiest or not, they might have been borderline, they might have had a little blight to them, they might have, and if we get to a point where it's going to be hard to get seed outside of what we're growing, um, you're going to have to make sure whatever seeds you have are going to be really good. So that would be, these are all kinds of little tricks and everything that'd be good. You can do a drench for soil to sterilize it and also treat old seed with peroxide. Things like to get those ancient tomatoes to grow. I don't know if I watched that process that he did. Interesting. Okay. So you guys can check that out too. That would be really good. Thank you, Patty. So, okay. So, of course, the natural way to germinate seeds is just to let nature be nature. Nature leaves seeds on the ground for animals to eat and poop out, or leaves them for the elements to get wet and start the germination process. This is the way that people find volunteers in their garden from a previous year's crop. It just is out there. I had a huge grapevine for many years, and it was started by a neighbor across the street who had a grapevine, and the birds would get to the grapes every year, and then they would fly around and and drop, all their droppings everywhere, and it just grew up, and I was like, oh, I have a grapevine. So yeah, it's amazing how things can get started that way. um Seeds that have okay, as a general rule of thumb, keep it simple unless you're a compulsive nerd who likes the extra work. Uh, Mac, I know you're right, but you missed part of at the beginning where it was saying that for me, my last 3 summers or so have been so hot and dry that the beginnings of them, when I'm first planting all my seeds, that I've had very low germination. And so, you go through all that expense, all the work, all the amendments in the garden and everything, and then it's just the seeds won't germinate. So, but trying to find different ways um, to help my seeds along, and I'm thinking for me to pre-soak them, or to soak them before gardening, before planting them, to give them that extra moisture within the seed to be able to help them out with that. So I think that's going to help out a lot. So exactly. Thank you, Patty. Yep. Um, so, and that's another reason that once they're done soaking, you have to, while they're still wet and soaked, you've got to get them in the ground and keep them wet, because if they dry up, they will die. So, because you're already telling them, oh, here's your moisture, and they've started doing their thing inside, and all of a sudden they dry again, and they figure there's no food or water for them. So you want to make to do that. So the soil might be too hot. It's really hot. I am sure that's probably happening too. Yeah, your son dropped the plow in your big garden. Ooh, oh my goodness! Very, no kidding. It's February 20th, Kathy. That's early, because you didn't you say you're in Indiana, I think? I think that's where you said you were. So where was I? Yeah, so they'll do fine if you don't soak your seeds before planting, but with soaking, the germination time decreases and the germination rate increases. So seeds that have a continual flow of moisture to uptake have much higher chances of success So if you're on a schedule or the climate only gives you a short window in which to grow, soaking your seeds can make all the difference to getting the most out of your garden. So, I know, busy little house, right? It's February. I still have almost 3.5 months here before I can get into the dirt. 3 months for sure. So, we were up into the mud 50s. Oh, I thought you were up to your knees in mud. It's like, yes, Indiana. Okay. Mid 50s. Well, that makes you want to get out there and do that, doesn't it? Do put your pepper seeds in wet paper towels and they germinate great that way. That is also a way that you can do it with tomatoes and pepper seeds. Um, peppers take so much longer to germinate, and so any help that they can get in that way really does do that. But again, what Patty is saying too, Patty G, is that once they're wet in the paper towels, it's like you need to plant them right away. You can't just like let them get wet or let the paper towels dry out or different things like that. Plant, because if you're going to do that, plan on making sure you have that opportunity to plant. Um, yeah, so I haven't seen anything from Matt and Sarah. Either they're just listening and they're busy, or they had to run. Thursday will be 80 degrees. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Mac, we're getting like 1.5 to 2 feet of snow out here. So you have to hurry up. Yes. Okay. So let me see if there's anything I missed. Okay, so we're talking about scarification and which is pre-soaking or soaking your seeds, getting them ready to, and you know, um, just weakening that seed hull so that you can get a germination going on that. The other type of pre-treating seeds is stratification, and that is going to be a whole nother night. But basically, because I got 3 minutes left, basically it's pre-treating them by getting them cold, so to speak. And so I will do stratification another night and all the different things to do with that. But I know that those words usually go hand in hand when you see them on any type of website or something like that. So, and I know Gardner Scott's video that I put down below also talked about scarification and stratification. So, anyway, so just so you know that there's another word out there. So, um, but anyway, that is what I have there. So, my garden tip for the night is to make sure that the seeds that you buy are the optimal ones for your climate, like onion seeds. Okay. I have long days for the summer. It's a short growing season, but long days. Now, you in the deep south have short days, but a long growing season. So you're like, okay, what onion seeds do I buy? Most people don't even look at that. They just look at the pictures and go, oh, those are pretty. You want to buy those? Oh, those are nice. I like that. Look at that squash. I like this. And it's like they'll just buy all these seeds, but not really pay attention to whether or not it's going to be good for your season. So, anyway, the so my long days means that I need to have long day onions, and as opposed to short day. I could try the short day. I might get some to grow, but they won't grow nearly as well as if I get long day onions. Again, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with the tomatoes. That if you want, I'm trying to blank of the words, but not definite, but oh my gosh, indeterminate or determinate tomatoes. If you want them to all come at one time and stop, they just all produce at one time, they're done at one time. Those are determinate. They have a determined end in sight. Indeterminate keeps on going and going and going. They keep growing and growing, keep producing more and more until frost, until the end of the season, or you pull the plant up. So, just decide what it is you're going to do, but just make sure that the seeds that you get, if you've already gotten your seeds, look through them, make sure that they're good for your climate, your growing season. If you haven't gotten them yet, when you are purchasing them, make sure that you look at that carefully, because that's going to help you out. Now, for my prep tip, it's to assess your food preservation needs, like your jars, lids, bags, or mylar bags, canners, supplies, all that kind of stuff. And start getting things now so that you're ready for the season when the garden is just like, because that's when everybody else is going to be getting their stuff too. So just to be prepared ahead of time, that's all that prepping is. It's just thinking ahead and getting things now for when you know you're going to need them. And, if you know that I'm going to need 4 more cases of quart jars this summer than I did last year, because we are planning on putting in this many more plants of this or whatever. And it's like, okay, it's like start getting them now before they're all gone or the prices are all out of this world. So anyway, guys, the hour's up already. You were terrific. And I love spending the time with you, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you to all of my moderators. I really appreciate all of you. Hey, Eli, good night to you. And all of you guys pray for us who are going to get almost 2 feet of snow this week, that we can make it through this. And we'll be praying for all of you too. So take care. God bless. Always have hope. And we'll see you next week. Good night.